line, I wanted to mention. All right. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel and another video. My name is Dr. Caroline, a practicing board certified family medicine physician. And in this channel, we talk about workflow, physician productivity, and compensation. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely make sure to subscribe for more videos. In addition to practicing medicine, I also do run a primary care productivity program where I essentially help primary care physicians who are specifically practicing in a productivity model maximize productivity and scale their income without overworking, becoming overwhelmed, or risk falling into burnout. So if that sounds like something you may benefit from, definitely check out the link below to our website to apply to work with us. So in this video today, I wanted to do sort of a mini course / what's in the course relating to the primary care productivity program that I've just mentioned. I get so many questions from potential clients regarding what they should expect to learn in the program. So essentially an outline, and that's what I wanted to go through today is essentially mini course / what's in the course. So that way all of you can have some sort of outline to kind of see what you can expect to learn in the program. Now, of course, this is all just touching the surface. A lot of the details is in the program itself. And so if you are interested, again, definitely check out the link below to our website where you can apply to work with us. The other thing I wanted to mention before I get started is if you go through this entire video and you are genuinely interested in joining the program, in addition to applying, I want you to also email me directly. My email is in the bio. I want you to email me directly referencing this specific video so that way I can make sure that you get a discount on the course. So let's get to it. All right, here we go. So before I get started with the outline, I wanted to mention that we do have different packages for the program. So we have the course only, which is a self-paced course. I wanted it to be useful across the primary care specialties. So family medicine, pediatrics, internal medicine, etc., but also for subspecialties as well, because remember, RVUs are RVUs no matter what specialty you're in. And so to avoid creating a course for different specialties, I wanted to create something that could be useful across the different specialties. Again, with the focus being in primary care, but not that if you are in a subspecialty that you couldn't benefit from something like this. So the concepts that we talk about in the course can certainly be applied to other specialties as well, not just primary care. The other two packages that we have include coaching. So this is where we offer sort of individualized support. Sometimes we have clients who purchase the course by itself first, but then realize they feel like they need a little bit more. They want to get into the specifics of their situation in order to create a specific plan for how they can maximize productivity and income. And so that's kind of where the coaching comes in. You get that individualized support. And so you can always purchase the course by itself, get started that way, and then you can always upgrade to the coaching packages, or you can just purchase the coaching package from the beginning. It really just depends on how best you learn. All right, so now we're going to get into the outline itself. So there are 10 core modules that we teach in the program. These are the strategies that I specifically focused on when I was going through my journey in trying to learn how to maximize productivity in my income. These are the same strategies that I still believe are very key for anybody to sort of get started with maximizing productivity in their income. We all have to start from somewhere. And so we focus on these 10 core strategies, these 10 core modules in the course. And so module number 1 is just the introductory section. We get you ready for success, how to use this course to its full advantage to prepare to be more productive and start making more money. The first core module is starting with module number 2, which is creating the template. So this is, creating your template, creating your ideal schedule, etc. So we help you create your ideal template with your ideal practice preferences. So this is the first most important thing for getting paid more. Obviously, you got to get patients into the door to be able to get anything out of all of this, right? It's extremely obvious, but it's something that you'll have to pay close attention to as you implement the other strategies. Patient volume is important, as we all know, especially practicing in a productivity model. So in this program, we want you to figure out what your ideal patient volume is. Every provider is different, so different factors may apply when thinking about this. So your desired income, your workflow, sort of how busy do you want to be, your work-life balance, etc. And we get into specific details in the program on how to figure out your ideal patient volume, how many patients are needed to earn a certain income, etc. As I've mentioned earlier, practice preferences is another big one. So you need to think about this as you're building your template. So an example could be, I work with a colleague who didn't do anything GYN related. So anything relating to women's care, gynecologic complaints, all that kind of stuff, he would just refer to gynecology. So that was one of his big practice preferences, in that he did not manage GYN concerns. So patients would know that when they schedule the appointment, you want to have these preferences that you can discuss with your practice manager, medical director, or whomever that is appropriate, so that these preferences can get entered into your template for everyone to see, especially your schedulers. Because if the schedulers know this provider doesn't do GYN, then they should be able to provide that information to patients when they're scheduling the appointments. So that is the first core module, which is creating the template. The second core module is optimizing workflow for efficiency. This is the one simple change to how you structure or look at your workday that nearly guarantees that you'll maximize productivity. Efficiency is a prerequisite to maximizing productivity. How well are you getting all of your tasks done throughout your workday? Think workflow. And I've talked so many times about workflow in my videos here on YouTube. It is very important to have a workflow that works for you. Having a systematic approach is the best way to go about optimizing your workflow for efficiency. And efficiency creates the opportunity to maximize on every little thing that you do in your workday so that you don't leave any money on the table. So for example, one of the things that we touch in this module is charting and several other things. But yeah, you have to be efficient in order to be productive. It's essential. The next core module is mastering billing and coding. I cannot stress enough how important understanding and mastering billing and coding is in maximizing productivity and income. If you do not master billing and coding, you will not be able to maximize productivity and income the way that you feel you deserve. So this is the biggest section in our program. Now, it's not several hours long. The program itself is not several hours long. Nobody has 50 hours to be watching videos and going through, whatever material, etc., to still try to figure out what the take-home point is. The whole point of this is, I've gone through the struggles. I've figured out what works, and now I want to share that with you as well. And so it's very straight to the point. It's very direct in what we're trying to achieve. So there's no fluff. Everything is just straight to the point. And so billing and coding is our largest section. I think it's about 30 minutes long. The video portion of it is about 30 minutes long. And then, of course, like I said, there's several supplemental documents to review as well, etc. So how long this takes you to go through, that's the other question I get very often, is how long will it take me to go through this course? It's really up to you. Again, the course is self-paced, so you can go through it as quickly or as slow as you feel. If you want to wake up on a Saturday morning at 6 a.m. and start going through this the entire day, you can probably get through it the entire day. If you want to take it slowly, let's say you're the type so you want to take notes, etc., then you can space that out over a few days, maybe even a couple of weeks. It's really up to you. So it's hard for me to give you an exact timeline in how long it will take you to go through the course, because it just depends on you. Going back to billing and coding, you must understand the language of billing and coding in order to truly scale your productivity and income. Again, I cannot stress this enough. I've made several YouTube videos talking about this. You should not undervalue your work or yourself. If you're putting the work in, then bill for it appropriately so that you're compensated appropriately. It is actually surprisingly very easy to underbill, but when you understand the language of billing and coding, you become an expert. And expertise obviously leads to success. Some providers underbill out of fear of being flagged on an audit. Some providers underbill because they don't want to put in the work in learning how to appropriately bill higher. And then so many other reasons. But if this is you, honestly, you're not doing yourself any favors. If you're really interested in maximizing productivity and your income, it would be really prudent for you to just go ahead and learn these things and just master it. As primary care physicians, we do so much. We all know that. And if you're thinking about joining this course, I know that the work that you're putting in for your patients matters to you, but so does being compensated appropriately for the work that you do. So with billing and coding specifically in the course, we go through the different levels of service, time-based billing, how to bill for additional time, how to bill higher, a lot of the pitfalls you want to avoid, etc. There's lots of tips and tricks that I'll share with you as well. Now, obviously, I'm not a billing and coding specialist. Everything that I know and teach in the program are strictly from my experience as a practicing physician. I was in the position when I started practicing as an attending, I was not fluent in billing and coding. I was definitely underbilling for sure. But over the years, I've worked very closely with several billing and coding specialists and supervisors. I've asked so many questions. I've learned different things that some providers probably will never know in order to be better at billing and coding, in order to be successful with billing and coding so that you're not underbilling and you're not losing money. That's where my qualification comes in. I'm a practicing physician. I've learned so much over the years, and I want to be able to share that with you. The next core module is on annual physicals and wellness visits. We talk about obviously just the general routine annual physicals, but then also Medicare wellness visits. If you're not keeping up with these visits, you're basically missing out on super easy RVUs. One of the key things we teach you in this module is how to easily incorporate these particular visits into your schedule to maximize productivity, even when a patient was not originally scheduled for the physical or wellness visit. Now, obviously, with the patient knowledge, we want you to just know how to easily incorporate this without it taking too much of your time and delaying the rest of your day, etc. The next core module is on additional complaints. So we all know the dreaded, oh, by the way, or I also have a few more questions right when we're about to walk out the door after seeing the patient. You really must learn to manage these requests strategically in order to maximize productivity, and also learn how to easily incorporate these additional complaints into other visits, such as the physicals, and bill for them appropriately. Obviously, this program is not meant to tell you how to practice medicine and all that kind of stuff. That's not what this is for. This is all about how to maximize productivity, etc. So I'm not here to tell you how to run your practice or how to practice medicine. But there are ways to know which complaints can wait, which complaints can I go ahead and deal with, etc. So I'm going to leave it at that. The next core module is on procedures. And so this might not be applicable to all. Some providers are procedure heavy, some are not. But take advantage of it if it is of interest to you. Obviously, complex procedures have higher RVUs than simple procedures, but either way, the RVUs are even higher if you combine E&M services with procedures. Now, the key thing here is if you do decide to combine procedures with E&M services, you have to make sure to bill for these encounters appropriately. So we go through that in the program. The next core module is on transitional care management. So a couple of things here. This module obviously won't apply to every specialty because TCM visits are for Medicare patients. So for example, pediatricians, this module may not be for you. And this also won't apply to every specialty because not every specialty is set up to do TCM visits, or not every specialty is allowed to do TCM visits, from my understanding. I know for sure cardiology is, but I'm not sure about other subspecialties. If this applies to you, great. If it doesn't, you can just skip it. That's fine. The goal is to meet the documentation requirements and bill appropriately. So these documentation requirements are the key to capturing these TCM visits. So if any one of those requirements is not documented, then you lose out on that TCM visit and you instead just go about it as a regular E&M visit. And that sucks because the RVUs are really up there for these TCM visits. There are specific billing codes for the visits. So if you are able to appropriately capture them, please do so, because it's fantastic if you're able to get the full RVUs on a particular visit, especially those TCM ones. The next core module is on patient refusal of management plans. And so patients refusing your management plans is nothing new. I'm sure we've all had them. But what if you knew that you can still bill for these visits at the appropriate level so that you're paid appropriately for the work that you do? And so we talk about that in this module. The next core module is on administrative tasks. This is another big one. Admin tasks is going to be everything from your in-basket, your paperwork, etc., i.e. everything that you have to do that is outside of direct patient care. So this ties back into our discussion about workflow and efficiency. So how busy do you want to be, delegating tasks appropriately, etc. These administrative tasks will definitely burn you out if you do not know how to manage them properly. Now, I do have a video on how I manage administrative tasks. If you want to watch that video, you can. I do reference that video in the course as well. Obviously, we go into much detail in the course, but there is a video titled How I Manage My In-Basket for Max Productivity here on YouTube, so you can always check that out. But this module will teach you how properly managing your admin task is one of the best ways to maximize productivity. So it's a great module. The last core module is on the return policy. As you can probably already guess, it's pretty self-explanatory, but whilst ensuring proper care to your patients, you must also keep business in mind by ensuring continued flow of volume to maximize productivity. Again, this should be self-explanatory, but we do get into more detail in the program. I've always said that medicine is a business, whether you want to believe that or not. So in order to maximize productivity, you do want to adopt somewhat of a business mindset as well. The last module, which is not a core module, but we do talk about certain things in this module, even though it's a wrap-up module. But in the wrap-up, I do try to remind you about really committing to this course and putting in the effort in implementing these strategies in order to actually get the outcome that you're looking for. And if you do so, maximizing your productivity and income will no longer be a mystery or seem out of reach. Lastly, in the module, you will also learn how to track your RVUs. So if you don't receive those monthly productivity reports from your employer, we do teach you how to track your own RVUs. So that way you kind of have an idea sort of what your average is looking like, what your projected income would look like based on your numbers. Now, obviously, it's not exact, but at least it gives you an idea. The other thing we talk about in this module as well is how to manage your RVUs in the setting of time away. So if you plan on going on holiday for a week or two, you don't want to come back and find that your RVUs have plummeted so much that it now affects your overall average and your projected income. Now, obviously, if you only go on holiday once a year, you only take off one holiday in a year, it probably doesn't matter too much. But I'm sure we all probably take a few weeks time off here and there throughout the year. And so if every single time you take off, you're not intentionally planning ahead of time how you're going to manage your RVUs, you're going to find that your overall averages are lower than what they could be. And obviously your projected income will be lower than what it could be as well. So we try to teach you how to manage your RVUs in the setting of time away, so that way you can avoid just losing out on productivity and income that you may otherwise have had, especially since you're putting in so much work. So those are the modules in the course. Again, if you watch this video in its entirety and you are genuinely interested in joining the program, then in addition to applying, I want you to send me an email directly referencing this specific video so that I can make sure that you get a discount. All right, friends, I hope that was interesting to you. If you've ever had questions about what the course entails, especially if you're interested in joining the course but didn't quite know what you would expect to learn and what you would expect to get out of the course, I hope this was useful. I hope this was helpful. I am always open to answering your questions. You can either leave a comment on the video or you can send me an email directly. But otherwise, make sure to like this video and share it with your colleagues. I will see you on the next one. Bye.